Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on our channel. Today we're going to be covering how to swap out your S2000 gauge cluster and also, of course, the two surround pieces. We haven't done a video on this, but we've done this install many times, so we thought this would be a good time to show you since we're putting one on our demo car this time. But essentially, we're going to be pulling out this gauge cluster bezel, and then we're going to be, while bezels out, we're going to pull out the factory pieces and swap them with our carbon pieces here. So let's get to it. Basic tools you don't need a lot of stuff. You need a 12mm socket. You're going to need some sort of a light just to see what you're doing. Trim removal tools are always handy, and then just a Phillips screwdriver. So we're going to start by taking out the 3 Phillips screws under the bottom of the steering column. I'm going to pull out the column, and then I'm going to show you where the screws are because it's hard to get the camera in here. But essentially, you got one screw there, and one at the bottom. So 3 Phillips screws, which we pulled out. They look like these. So we pulled out 3 machine Phillips screws. And then the next step, if you do have an S2000 with the 06 Plus, I think you have this piece on the bottom. I don't know if all the other years have it. I don't remember. But if you do, it just snap clips. All right, so this is all held by snap clips, really. So that piece is out. Now, the 12mm sockets are underneath the steering column. I'm going to show you the camera here. All right, so here's the screw locations from earlier. You got those 2 on the left and right, and then the 1 down here. So those are your 3 Phillips screws. When those 3 screws are removed, you need to remove this bottom cluster piece first. And it separates, there's 4 clips here. There's 1 and 2 on each side. So we're gonna go in here with our trim removal tool. We're just gonna kind of release the clips. That'll allow us to separate the steering column from the piece. So you see it's separated here. And then we're gonna do the other side, which I'll show you over here. That's the keyhole side. So there we go. So you see the keyhole. So separate this, and we're gonna pop the clips off here at the top, and they'll come off. All right, a couple of things to note while you're looking under here at the bottom of the steering column. There's 4 12mm bolts that need to be removed to drop the steering column. You can see the bolts here. So there's 1 there, all right, 1 right there, 1 over here on this side, right there. And then there's 2 more at the back side. The back side ones, they're right here. You see them in the back here. There's 2 on the steering column where the light is. The problem with these is these 2 in the back, they're kind of blocked by this piece of plastic. So we removed the plastic clip right here, which looks like that. You can see the plastic clip. So we remove the plastic clip. That gets this out of the way so you can get those 2 12mm bolts there. So total of 4 12mm bolts. We're gonna remove these. The steering column will be able to come down, and then we'll be able to get the gauge cluster out. All right, so we're gonna take these 12mm bolts out. I loosened them. We're gonna use a power driver. It's a lot easier with a power driver. And one trick is, I don't think you need to remove the whole thing. So we loosen them all the way, but we're not gonna take them off. And then we're gonna take these 2 up here in the front off. So it's actually 2 12mm bolts and 2 12mm nuts here. There we go. All right, I'm sitting in the car. You can see with the 4 bolts, the steering column now just pretty much just falls down like that, which is what we want. So we're gonna leave the steering column. I'm gonna move this plastic piece real quick, just get out of the way. Okay, so the steering column is kind of out of the way. I'm just gonna let it rest on my leg because I don't want it to fall too far. There's 2 clips, or actually not clips, caps. Use a small flathead, be very careful. You pry in on the front side, and then these little things, these caps will come off. So there's 1. Okay, there's the second one. Try not to drop them like I just did, but we'll find that later. So you got the 2 clips. Once you get those 2 clips out, there's 2 Phillips screws. 2 Phillips screws. So we're gonna remove these. That's the only things holding the gauge cluster. You're gonna have 1 clip over here, wiring harness, 3 harnesses over here for all the radio controls. So this part right here is just held in by clips all the way around. So don't use any tools, you don't really need them. Just use your hands. You can reach in here and just kind of grab it because it's all open now, and you can just start to release the clips. There you go. If you use tools, use plastic tools. Do not use screwdrivers because it's a quick way to damage your dash. All right, so there, that piece is out. Work your way around. This car, I think, has never been taken apart before, so it's pretty tight. So there, the whole thing's out. Now this is where you want the steering column out of the way. So we're gonna bring it down as far as it'll go. And then this cluster comes out like so. And then this is where it helps if you have small hands. Reach back here and unplug each of the harnesses. So there's 3 on this side that are unplugged. We're gonna reach over to the other side. All right, so that just lifts out like so. We'll get a close up here. I'll show you where the harnesses are. So you got 1, 2, 3 harnesses on this side. And then you got 1 for the main temp control. And then if you have the VSA on 2006 and up, you'll have 1 more plug. So 2 and 3. The 2 screw holes were right here. That's what's holding the gauge cluster in place. So now this is all taken out. We're just gonna leave this sitting here for a while. So I'm gonna put this thing back up like that. Let it sit. We're gonna take this piece to the bench and then we will swap what we need and we'll come back. All right, so we're gonna set these 2 pieces aside. We're gonna flip this piece around. Each of these control pieces are held in place by a couple of Phillips screws. So we're just gonna take the Phillips screws out. Now you can see why this is impossible to do if you don't take it out of the vehicle. You'll end up scratching everything and you still won't get these pieces installed correctly. So I highly advise, if you're gonna do this, to follow each step and remove everything on the vehicle as we've shown here. So we're gonna remove 1 at a time. So 3 screws on each of these. This is the temp unit. So the way these things come out is kind of unique. They push through. So let's see if I can show you. So you kind of pull out a little bit, and then it doesn't lift out. It actually goes in through the front. So it goes out this way. Okay, and then it kind of slides out. You see that? So it goes in like this and up. So we're gonna take this piece, set it aside. All right, so on the workbench, we have the carbon bezel now. We got all the pieces removed. We got the switches for the cruise and the VSA. We got the 2 new pieces we're gonna install. We got the start button removed. It's gonna go in back on the piece here. So let's get this all put back together. First thing we like to do is pop all the switches in. So let's see here. I believe VSA is here. So that pops in there. Cruise control pops in over here. Okay. Now, if your car is not a 06 Plus, you won't have the VSA button. It'll just be blank. The radio controls, we're gonna go on, start from the front, put it in that way. It goes in like that. And then this side, same process as we showed you before. It goes in from the front, tilt it in, and then align it, and it'll snap it just like that. Now that's all the pieces. See how easy that was? So now everything's back in. We're gonna flip it around and put the screws in. So this piece, you got 3 screws, right? Just like the way we did it before. We're gonna put all the screws back in. So you got 3 Phillips on this side. Now you can see why it would be very difficult to do this if you try to do it on the car without taking the piece out, right? It's virtually impossible because you can't get through the screws. All right, so with all the pieces back in, now we can put the start button back on. So we line it up with a flat edge with the gold piece on the side. And you can snap it in. But don't snap it in yet because it's a lot easier to put this button in after this console is in the car so it doesn't stick out. So don't attach it yet, but just you can see where it goes. We're gonna transfer the 2 vents and we're gonna take this back to the car and finish it, but you can kind of see how it looks now. What do you think? Good? All right, so we're back in the car. remember we said don't put the start button in yet, so we're gonna leave that there. We're gonna put this thing back in the same way we took it out. Make sure you plug in all the harnesses. So let's start with the left side. That'll be the cruise control. All right, just make sure you can reach the start button harness, which I'm going to pull it in like this while we line everything up and push it back in. Now when you get to this point, you can pull the harness out. This is a good time to plug in the start button because you don't want to lose the harness. So we'll plug it in, let it dangle. Now let's get this thing all lined up. There we go. Everything should fit nice back into the original clip. So make sure you feel the clips engage all around. Really important. We're gonna check our work. All right, so the gauge cluster trim piece is back on. All the edges are flush. We checked everything. So when everything is right, now you can finally do what you really want to do, which is push in the start button until it snaps in. That goes in. We're going to put the two caps back in. That'll finish the upper section. Right now, we're going to tighten the 12mm bolts we removed for the steering column. Now, it certainly helps to have a power driver, but you can do it manually as well. Once all the 12mm are back on, we're gonna put the steering column piece back on and we'll show you how the final product looks outside in the sun. All right, so with the bottom trim, all the pieces put back in, we just gotta put in this knee bolster trim. There's actually a little, I forgot to mention this earlier, but there's a little release here. See, it turns 90 degrees. So we wanna leave it this way, and after we lock it by doing that. So line up the clips. There's a bunch of clips on this thing. So just line it up. The clips in. There we go. Once everything's lined up, you twist this lock I showed you earlier. That locks it in place. It's on nice and tight. Everything's in. All right, with the dash piece back in the car, we can sit back and enjoy the new view. It's easily noticeable from any angle of the car, whether you're looking at it from the passenger side, the driver's side, or through the windshield. The carbon trim that flows around the dash panel gives it a very nice touch to the car. It's not too flashy, but it definitely looks clean. If you have other carbon fiber parts from us, they all tie in very nicely, such as the steering wheel, power window trims, door sill, center console, that sort of thing. But now with all the pieces in, the car is finished. We hope you found this video informative and helpful at the same time, so you can install these pieces on your own S2000. If you have any questions, shoot us a message. As always, thanks for watching. We appreciate your support. Till next time. Thank you.